On reprend.
So let's reconvene. So I was to give the floor to you, Ms. Romanado, but I already had Mr. Brock on my list. And now Ms. Romanado had the floor. You'll recall she asked that the agenda be changed. We said it could be done. Next on my list was Mr. Brock. And Mr. Motz, I understand, has an amendment. So we'll give the floor to Mr. Brock. Unless I'm mistaken, if so, tell me. But I have my list. And I can add Ms. Romanado after Mr. Brock.
We have the dilatory motion on the floor. I understand Ms. Romanado wishes to withdraw that motion so that we can deal with the amendments on my motion.
Okay, so si tout le monde est d'accord, moi, ça me va.
If everyone's in agreement, that's all right with me. Go ahead, Ms. Romanado. Thank you. Indeed. With unanimous consent of the committee, I would like to withdraw my dilatory motion. Thank you, Ms. Romanado, and I apologize for having complicated things for nothing.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to move an oral motion amending our previous motion as read out by my colleague, Mr. Motz. Amended motion to read as follows. After the word "that" in the preamble, all of the remaining language in that preamble to be deleted. So it'll read "that" in relation to sub A, in relation to the federal court judgment, sub Roman numeral 1, the committee invite the following witnesses to appear for at least 90 minutes, deleting sub A, keeping sub B, deleting sub C, deleting sub D, deleting sub E, F, G, and H, and leaving adding sub I.
F, G, and H?
No, delete.
Okay.
Deleting C through H, Mr. Chair, and inserting sub I, the Honorable Dominic LeBlanc, Minister of Public Safety. Roman numeral 2 remains unchanged. Sub B remains unchanged with the exception of the full deletion of paragraph B. So sub B, sub Roman numeral 1, sub B to be completely deleted, and then an additional sub C to read officials from the Translation Bureau. Sub Roman numeral 2 now reads, members of the committee shall, within 5 days of the appearance of the Privy Council office, identify their preliminary lists of unilingual commission evidence or submissions for priority translation to the joint clerks, who in turn shall relay those requests to the Privy Council office, completely deleting sub C, sub sub C, deleting, sub D, deleting, and that's the end of the motion.
C'est impossible de suivre, là.
That was impossible to follow. Impossible to follow. Mr. Brock.
OK. Donc, je vais y aller en français?
Shall I go in French then? That, concerning the federal court's decision, the committee invite the following witnesses to appear for at least 90 minutes. And we have Dominique Leblanc, who's Minister of Public Safety. And we have Honorable Arif Virani, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. That was B. So what about A? And we're keeping Arif Virani, Dominique Leblanc. So we're deleting C, D, E, F, G. And we delete GH. We keep the Roman number 2 in its entirety. Are you following? All right. Sorry. So right down through E. Provided these documents shall be deposited with the joint clients without redaction and in both official languages within 10 days of the adoption of this order. Then B, in relation to the translation of commission evidence, Little Roman I, the committee invite the following witnesses to appear separately for at least 1 hour each. A, senior officials from the Privy Council office and it says C, but it should now be B, officials from the Translation Bureau. So Roman 2. So do we not want to hear from the clerk of the Privy Council, where it says senior officials from the Privy Council? Well, I'm reading the text. That's what the text says. So if I go then to the small number 2, members of the committee shall, within 5 days of the appearance of the Privy Council office, identify their preliminary lists of unilingual commission evidence or submissions for priority translation to the joint clerks, who in turn shall relay these requests to the Privy Council office. So 5 days. So members of the committee, within 5 days of the appearance of the Privy Council office, identify their preliminary lists of unilingual commission evidence or submissions for priority translation to the joint clerks, who, in turn, shall relay those requests to the Privy Council office.
Voilà, donc tout le reste est éliminé.
Everything else is deleted.
C'est $2,000. 2,000.
Oui. Alors, M. Maloney, la parole est...
Mr. Maloney, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair. Look, we're running out of time here for this meeting. I'm okay with the amendments with the exception of paragraph little 2, where it says an order do issue, and at the beginning and at the end it says adoption of this order. I would suggest the wording be changed to a request be made at the beginning, and it end with, after the request be made, instead of adoption of this order. And the provision about, I think because the next meeting is in 2 weeks' time, we don't want to lose that date. Why don't we agree as part of this that the first hour and a half will have the ministers and the second hour and a half will have the Privy Council and translation people come. So with those two amendments, I think we've got an agreement.
So,
So, Chair, we certainly agreed to next meeting, the 27th, having the ministers and Privy Council and the Translation Bureau, but not to change the wording of every request we've made from this committee, which is an order is issued. I'm sorry, that's not something that I'm willing to change at this stage. It's something we've done all along. Still language reviews on every request we've made. That's the proper language. We're not requesting it. This committee has the power to order those things. They can refuse, then be in contempt, which the DOJ is already.
I don't want it to kill the whole thing here.
You do a sub-amendment if you want, or just leave it as is. We agreed to the 27th, obviously, but
I think we've got an agreement on everything except for that one point.
yeah, I'm not going to change my mind on it.
Well, neither am I, so. Yeah, so we can vote on that one provision if you want. Yeah.
Changing the word order to request.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
est-ce que, OK,
At this stage, do we have unanimous consent on the text? And the only point on which we're going to issue is the amendment moved by Mr. Maloney? Have I understood correctly?
oui, je comprends. Mais je veux savoir, est-ce qu'on a une entente sur tout?
Do we have an agreement on everything else? Ms. Romanado. In section B, 1A,
appear separately for at least 1 hour each. We have the PCO as well as the translation. So the goal here, based on the agreement right now, if we can, to have them both come together for an hour and a half. So next meeting, we would have an hour and a half with the two ministers, an hour and a half with the Privy Council and the translation. So just the way it's worded right now, it doesn't say that. So I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody what we're agreeing to.
We agreed in our conversations that would be a 90-minute meeting with the ministers and a 90-minute meeting with the Privy Council and the Translation Bureau.
Right, but then the word separately has to be
Exactly.
read.
Yeah.
Donc, ça, on a une entente. Maintenant, il y a un...
so we have a dispute on A under I. So are we talking about an order, or are we inviting? An order to issue a production order, an order to issue all legal opinions with the government. It's an order or an invitation, but who?
Oui, Sénateur Harder.
Colleagues, I would respectfully suggest we use request because we already have sought the documents and have been told no. My sense is if we use order, we will we're walking down a path where we get into a contestation of will, and there may be a desire to take it to the chambers themselves. I'd like to avoid that. I think that we should have a respectful relationship with the ministers when they come. We should ask for it and hear and see what they say. So I would support request.
Merci, Sénateur.
Thank you, Senator Harder. Mr. Green.
Yeah, I would just suggest that we, to my original point, separate this point out and allow us to vote up and down and get to a place there and then move on to adopt the motion as amended.
Alors, on va passer au...
All right, then, let's vote On the amendment, Mr. Maloney's amendment, which is to change the word in order to issue and to turn that to request.
A vote yes means that you support the changing from order to request. Right? And no means it stays the same as order.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to be clear, Mr. Clerk, at the last word in the section says adoption of this order, it should say within 10 days of the request being made. Yeah, yeah, you changed both or none, yeah. Yeah, obviously.
OK.
We change it if it doesn't pass.
Ça va pour vous, Mme Burke? Pour le procès verbal, vous allez être correct, vous démêlez avec ça?
C'est lui qui fait le procès.
Ah oui?
Ça me va complètement.
OK, bon.
Inaudible.
Alors, bon, ben, allez.
Amendment of Mr. Maloney. The Honorable Gwen Boniface. L'Honorable Claude Carignan, CP. The Honorable Peter Harder, PC.
Yes.
The Honorable Larry Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Nakvi.
Yes.
Mr. Maloney.
Yes.
Madame Romanado.
Oui.
Mr. Brock.
No.
Mr. Motts.
No.
Mr. Fortin.
No.
Mr. Green.
Je vote contre la motion.
Okay. And you have 6-5?
6-5.
Yeah. Des pour 6 contre 5.
Alors, 6 pour.
6 for, 5 against. So Mr. Maloney's motion has been adopted. We'll change the word order to request. Now, I don't want to move an amendment, but we should decide who we're asking this of. Are we asking this of the clerk of the Privy Council or the Department of Justice? Where are the archives for this material? If we want our motion to make any sense, we have to indicate who we're addressing.
Je pense
I think we are all in agreement. We've just voted on this. And I think we already have the confirmation from the offices of the minister that they're willing to come. No, I'm talking about the motion. Who are we addressing it to?
Suggestion? I mean, the Privy Council office is the keeper of those documents. So I would say request of the Government of Canada so that we are free to ask the ministers as representatives of the Government of Canada as opposed to asking the clerk of the Privy Council, because then we're getting a third party involved. So I would say Government of Canada. But understand it's the Privy Council office that is the keeper of cabinet confidences and documents.
En fait, comme ce que vous dites, monsieur.
Then what you are saying, Senator Harder, is that Privy Council